10% in income weatherize their homes to EPA Standards, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. So, you out there, students, you could be like Dennis Hayes, who in 1970, April 22nd, created Earth Day. One 25-year-old man mobilized 10 million, 20 million people to come out into the streets. Now, it can be done over the phone in one day. Any day, doesn't matter. Before the November 2nd election or after. Right now, Congress is in a, what you call a stalemate. We need to invest in rebuilding our country. The rich have enormous wealth. Let's put that thing back up again. I can put it up in a different version. Here's another version I made. See? I made it 1, 2, 3, 4. The same thing. Just copy it. See? Copy it. You know. If you copy it, then you could call your friends up. You know? And it takes a couple of minutes to read this. Maybe I'll time it. I'll say, well, how long does it take to read it? I'll put my timer on. Okay, let's see how long it takes to read this. I'm doing it right now. Here. Hi. Whoever you are, I'm doing an innovative experiment now that requires 5 minutes. Have you the time now? Just read this. Now I'm going to read this, which you can copy, but I'm reading it. It requires you to write about 1 minute now, and then 1 minute later to complete the writing. Please let me know when you are ready. This experiment can replace U.S. senators who won't pledge to mandate that the richest 10% of U.S. households weatherize their homes. So I just read this to you. Now I'm going to read this. If each person phones this writing to 10 contacts in an hour who do likewise, then over 100 million Americans would be mobilized to create the solar age in just 8 hours. Imagine. See? And all that took, with all the interruptions of explaining along the way, that letter, I was commenting on the letter a little bit along the way. It took a minute and 8 seconds. You could probably read it, you know, in 50 seconds directly. And then you could have someone who's listening to it write the whole letter. And then they can repeat it back. So in less than 5 minutes, you got a person committed to promote this idea to replace U.S. senators who won't pledge to work, to mandate that the richest people in this country weatherize their homes to prevent the heat from coming in the summer and from leaving in the winter, the house, their homes, their own homes. And in 7 years, 10 years, they get their money back, whatever they invested. So it's a reasonable thing to request. We're not taking a penny away from the rich. We're just requiring them to act responsibly. You know? They can still live lavishly, they can still speculate, and they can be proud. We can be an example to the rest of the world, where all the rich live more responsibly. It's a very simple idea. And once we're organized into 1, 10, 100 networks, 1, 10, 100, if everybody gets 10, it would work with 3. With 10s it works, or anything, it works. You know, we don't have to be so neat. The next hour, you can start earlier. You know, after 5 minutes, the first person can start It doesn't have to wait till the next hour to start. They can just start right away. And then the human chain reaction would be quicker. So in one day, we can mobilize the entire country, the entire world even, in just one day. If we all took an hour out to focus our mind on this one simple issue. So I'm going to maybe remove this a little bit, but I'll keep putting it back so you don't have to worry. This show is designed for you to write this. And if you don't want to write it, I'll put up my email address where you can get it back automatically, the same letter. You can send it by email. Here's a quicker way to do that letter. DKC DKC with the number 3 after @gmail.com. You'll get that letter I just read to you and a couple of more summaries right behind the letter. And if you email DKC without the 3, you'll get this more information about solar energy, renewable energy, and $150 billion carbon tax. Right now, the carbon, the coal, the oil, the natural gas is over $900 billion in this country that we're spending on it. So a $150 billion tax is about, what, 15%? Here's my calculator again. I can open it up. Oh, here it is. So I can just give you a rough idea what percent the tax would be of what we're spending. And all that money from that tax, the law can say, can be returned. Okay, so if you have, email me at that site, get back immediately this letter, which you can copy right now. I'll turn it over. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. On the other side is in one piece. So here's the letter you get back if you email dkseed3@gmail.com. You'll get back this immediately. So I was just going to tell you about a carbon tax that can be returned immediately to all the people. $150 billion, if it were returned to all the people, it would give you in your banking account automatically $500. Every American would get that. 300 Americans would get it. 300 million Americans, I mean, times $500 is, I have this calculator. I better start using it. But okay, what I was going to do, I was going to talk about the percent. $150 billion over $900 billion, which is, what percent is that the tax would be? Let's see. So 150 divided by 900 equals, so it's a 16, almost a 17% tax on the price of carbon. And that would bring in, I think, 25, I'm not sure. No, that would bring in, for everybody, $500. And for the students, there are 53 million students aged 5 to 17 in this country. And they each would get $500. But we don't have to give it to them if they're under 18. We can rehire 250,000 teachers, and that would be half the money. That's $12.5 billion. And the other $12.5 billion, or roughly $13 billion, would go for supplies, computers, and all the things to build the solar age. I'm going to see what time this is, so I'll be right back in a second because I lost control of time. That's okay. The next show will be better even. This show could be put on any time. Any time we could demand that the rich weatherize their houses. Over 11 million houses. Okay, we got another 3 minutes to wind up. So let's go back. The show is almost going to be over, but that's okay. Or is it 4 minutes, maybe? So 3 or 4 minutes left. So I can put my timer on, which goes for 5 minutes, so I'll know exactly. Here we go. Okay, this is the first show of this new idea. Just to focus on requiring the well-off those in the top 10%, over 11 million homes. And what could be the benefit if we weatherize 11 million homes that are leaking out heat? The benefit would be it would create enormous jobs, lifetime jobs. There's over 116 million homes of U.S. households in 2007, that figure comes from. And if the top 10% were required to weatherize their homes right now by the U.S. Senate, they were mandated, they wouldn't lose any money. Eventually, they would save money after 7 years. They would be doing a responsible thing. And that would make enormous jobs. It would be a foundation for the solar age. And they could, later on, they could put solar collectors on their rooftops to make hot water, or solar cells to make electricity. They could even put fuel cells in the basement to make electricity when the sun's not shining. Put batteries in the basement, fuel cells in the basement. With the fuel cell you can make electricity when the sun's not shining. That would get the fuel cell going. And the fuel cells, they have cars that can be driven. You can make pure water and electricity from a fuel cell. You can get the hydrogen industry going. We could solve the climate crisis quickly if we just require a little bit of money from the income of the well-off. They wouldn't take a penny away from them, just require them to invest it in the solar age. And first in their houses by weatherizing them and solarizing them. And then they can invest in renewable energy. They could make fortunes. They have enormous wealth. Maybe I should show you the enormous wealth they have. So you won't have to cry. People like all these libertarians say, don't take any money away from them, don't direct anybody, don't mandate anybody. So, well, I could show you the disparity, the enormous disparity. See, okay, let's say, look, here it is. They had $46 trillion, the top 10%. The bottom had 19%. In 9 years, they earned $21 trillion. Not earned, but they, through the laws, they were able to mandate 21 trillion versus 7 trillion. And gains in wealth. What this translates, if you want to know specifically what it translates into for each household made $200,000 in the top 10%. Well, the bottom percent made $7,000. Is that anyway? So on and on and on. Let me pull out my email address, and I'm going to make this show. Here's it. So if you want to get that, just focus. DKC3@gmail. Just focus on requiring the top 10% of America to weatherize their houses. That would make jobs, solve the climate crisis, be a model for the rest of the world, and how to bring in the solar age. It's doable. So write me, email me. Then you can email that my letter. So it doesn't have to be by phone. It could be not in 8 hours. It could be in 8 days, because people don't answer their email in the next hour. Okay, it's all over. So long for a while. Let's unite and mobilize, or mobilize and unite for American renewable energy. What do you say? DKseed3@gmail.com or dkseed@gmail.com for more detailed letter. So have a great day, and may God bless this nation again.